What's up, y'all? How are y'all doing? Hope y'all are doing good. I'm doing a bit better. As you all know, for the first time in Philadelphia's franchise history, they have come back from a 3-1 deficit, and for the first time in Boston's franchise history, they choked a 3-1 lead. However you want to spin it, Philadelphia moves on to face New York, which the basketball fan in me is actually really intrigued by that matchup, especially since they gave us such a classic back in 2024. However, the Celtics fan in me, look, it was a special season, alright? I'm not gonna say that this playoff run entirely negates everything Boston had accomplished. However, that doesn't really change the fact that it's still somewhat of a disappointing end. Now, I'm not gonna come up here on camera and, oh my goodness, the lighting. Hello? Okay, we're back. So as I was saying, I'm not gonna come up here on camera and state that the Celtics lost this game. Yes, they did a lot of negative factors. However, oh, we're already off to a great start. However, I felt like it was Philadelphia that pretty much executed their game plan greatly. Once again, the coaching staff and Nick Nurse and their wonderful adjustments, but also the personnel, honestly. I mean, Joel Embiid, I have to give him so much, pretty much all the credit in the world. As we all know, he got sidelined with appendicitis. Appendicitis of all injuries. And then he comes back, he looked a little bit slow, took some time to get his footing. But now, he is looking like his usual dominant self. Again, coming off of appendicitis, which is holy crap, man. I mean, and as MVP caliber type players usually do, they find some ways to take over the game. We'll get to his pros in a second, but also massive props to VJ Edgecombe and Paul George. I mean, for PG-13, you want to talk about flipping narratives? There are all these conversations around prescription P and how he fails to show up in the playoffs, yet what he did against this Boston Celtics team, I'm pretty sure shut all of that up. My goodness, the amount of times he cooked Derrick White whenever he got a post-up or just one-on-one. Literally, every time he matched up against Derrick White, it felt like a mismatch. And you're doing that against D. White himself. I just found that to be really impressive because it was not just a flash in the pan type situation. PG-13 kept going at Derrick White successfully on a consistent basis. He just constantly abused, whether it was with his patented fadeaways or some nice usage of the spin. Seriously, that is flawless execution. I mean, it happened a lot of times in this series, but mostly for this Game 7, man. Turning Derrick White into a walking mismatch, I know he has the size advantage, but to just successfully execute on every trip, every time down, he deserves a lot of flowers for that. And for his defense, phew, I mean, you want to talk about giving JB and JT a tough time? And I guess we should also include Kelly Oubre in this department. I felt like the pressure those two supplied to the two Js, it was kind of a repetitive takeaway from this series. It just wasn't as highlighted as much through the first 4 games because Boston had a 3-1 lead. But in games 5 through 7, I felt like it was more noticeable just how much of a hard time both Oubre and PG-13 were giving to two superstars, whether it was fighting over the screens or combining their perimeter defense with Philadelphia's excellent drop coverage. Not just those two actually. Whenever Jaylen Brown tried to target Tyrese Maxey or VJ Edgecombe in his usual mismatch hunting, it rarely worked. Just the fact that VJ and Maxey pretty much did their part to slow all of that down, that was seriously critical. And I must reiterate, that's only when PG-13 and Oubre are not on JB. Because man, those two wings were just constantly hounding. So massive props to Paul George and VJ, as I, briefly mentioned a while ago. Oh my goodness, I can't believe he is, 19, 20 years old? Yet he is showing off such a veteran experience in this series. I felt like it was kind of a bad omen when VJ made a 3 because part of Philly's success is VJ knocking his shots down, so when you see that type of 3-point make, you just kind of get a bad feeling in your stomach if you're a Celtics fan. You never got a sense of panic out of him. I mean, the amount of times he worked really well against Boston's drop coverage. For example, if the left side for that elbow jumper wasn't gonna work, okay, how about I adjust and switch to the right side? Keep continuing that pick and roll chemistry with Joel Embiid because Embiid is such a threat. Just learning how to take advantage of that, and it's just stuff like that, man. That's not what a rookie should do, yet he does that. Oh. Moving on to Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, I just knew they were so dangerous to spread the series out to 6 or 7 games. Embiid's shot making and foul baiting ability, and I say foul baiting in good terms, right? I'm not trying to be super critical of that, I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, I guess it was a combination of Embiid's, usage of movement combined with Garza's and Keita's recklessness. My goodness, man, I know Celtics fans are not going to be the most fond of how many calls Embiid have gotten, but I feel like it'll be a little foolish if we just overlook the fact that Keita and Garza are just so foul prone. Garza had 3 fouls in like his short playing span. Keita had 5 fouls in the whole game. That forced Mazzulla to roll out a small ball lineup where Jaylen Brown had to guard Joel Embiid. Now, yes, Jaylen Brown did have a couple of successful defensive possessions, but still, that's just not enough against someone like Joel Embiid, man. And it wasn't just the small ball lineups, just the fact that Mazzulla, for some occasions, had Neemias Queta guard Kelly Oubre. I'm not sure if it was for help defense purposes or just worrying about Queta fouling out, but man, did that ever come to hurt Boston so badly in crunch time? Because Tyrese Maxey, I mean, I have to give his intelligence a lot of flowers because he realized Queta was guarding Oubre, so instead of force feeding Joel, he said, Kelly Oubre, come here, let's set this handoff, and I can take advantage of Queta off the dribble with my speed and acceleration, and man, the whole time, Joel Embiid, he attracted a lot of attention, right? As he usually does in this series. His passing and playmaking awareness, I hate to say it, but it was chef's kiss. Like, for as much as I get the reason of trying to send doubles or trying to throw Philadelphia off with Jaylen Brown guarding Embiid, Joel just simply overcame that. I mean, it was already bad enough that he was nailing his usual mid-range jumpers, but now you have him finding the open man available for the three-point look, him spotting cutters. That's another thing. Philadelphia's backdoor cuts, they were on point, realizing the likes of JB and Derrick White are always going to ball watch. Jaylen Brown especially, man. Individual defense, he's excellent, but in terms of keeping track of his man, it's yikes, but that just adds on to the point. It just worked really well. I mean, Oubre especially, he is a really underrated off-ball movement type of player, and it felt like he and Joel just kept punishing us. Oh, when PG-13 got that backdoor cut layup in Game 6, I just instantly got hit with the flashback of his clip from his podcast where he said he usually doesn't successfully execute on backdoor cuts.
I do not know how to cut. I don't know how to back cut.
What?
Like, I swear.
What?
I don't know how to back cut.
You really had a back cut baseline 360
Yeah, but
this year.
I know. That's why that play is so crazy because, like, I was able to pull that off.
So just knowing that clip and how PG-13 views that type of situation, I'm just like, man, that hurts me even more. But still, a lot of credit to Joel Embiid and his passing with running the offense to a nice flow. Because yes, it might be easy to give a little bit too much praise for a superstar player to nail that habit down, but I mean, for example, Kevin Durant, he struggles mightily with this. Just think, for at least a few possessions, if he can be able to beat at least traps and pressure up top, maybe Houston's offense will be a little bit more, I guess, just enjoyable to watch. So I feel like comparing that situation to Joel's just makes you appreciate the passes more. If Joel has a hard time recognizing who's open from the extra defender that Boston sent, you would see Philadelphia struggling way more. Those backdoor cuts and open threes are just gone. So those are all the type of flowers that I really want to give Philadelphia. Also, shout out Andre Drummond. Still cannot believe he developed a 3-ball, yo. That is crazy. Also, I love Mazzulla, right? I think he deserves Coach of the Year, but the fact that this was the first game he trusted Hugo, I mean, that kind of just threw me in a loop, I guess. Look, I'm not saying giving Hugo more consistent minutes in this series would have saved Boston or anything, but it would have certainly helped. I mean, you saw the type of impact he left in that second quarter. Putting in a guy that you know at least is giving it his all, you can't sit here and tell me that wouldn't benefit the Celtics at least one bit. Yeah, that's the series overall. That's Game 7. That is... anyways, let me know in the comments down below. What do you guys think of the game, of the series? How do you think Philadelphia will fare in New York? I'm honestly kind of excited to watch that. Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time.